You shrunk slightly at the 3 expectant stares pointed directly at you. Well, Tanjiro asked first, right? If you were being completely honest, that was definitely an excuse. The last few days had been so hectic that you hadn't been able to spend much time with Tanjiro, which was a shame because he had such a pleasant and welcoming presence. Oh, really? The auburn brunette stumbled over his words a bit, as if he was surprised that you wanted to go with him on a boring old errand. Even Tanjiro had to admit he would have been more intrigued by the mention of Inosuke's secret hideout. Well, we better get going then. Agreed. We don't want to run out of daylight, especially while you're still in recovery. Shockingly enough, the other 2 boys didn't seem to have any objections to your outing with Tanjiro. It probably had something to do with the fact that errands were short, sweet, and not likely romantic that Zenitsu held his tongue, and you were certain Inosuke just didn't think that far ahead in the first place. You better keep her safe, Tanjiro! Zenitsu hollered from the gate of the Wisteria estate. There it was. You knew he wouldn't let you leave without at least saying his piece. I sure will! Tanjiro called back, almost in a challenging sort of way, and you smirked. A ways up the road, your stomach chose to break the comfortable silence with a gurgling growl. You're hungry, traveler. Why didn't you say so? You didn't have to come with me. You should have stayed and eaten with Zenitsu. He halted in his tracks, almost as if he was going to send you back. No! You waved your hands nervously. Don't worry about me. I wanted to come. The look of concern wasn't yet wiped from his gentle, handsome features. Honest. I can wait till we get back. It's really no problem. He made an uncomfortable noise. How about we compromise and I get you something from the market? Don't waste your money on me! You objected and he laughed at the appalled look on your face. You're so thoughtful of others, traveler. I can see why Zenitsu and Inosuke fawn over you. You're very easy to love. Your eyebrows shot skyward at that remark, and Tanjiro's cheeks went up in flames when he realized what he had just said. He simply stared onward blankly like his brain had malfunctioned. That's nice of you to say. You smiled and felt your own face heat up. I think you are too, though. He followed suit when you continued walking, focusing on your steps in an attempt to stay composed. To tell you the truth, in the race a little while ago, I was kinda hoping you would win. Oh! Tanjiro erupted into a blush more ferocious than your own, though you were too busy staring down at the dirt road to see it. Sorry to disappoint you. He sheepishly ran a hand through his hair. I guess I have to train harder. Does that mean she wanted to kiss me? No, I can't assume such things. But it still means she likes me, right? Tanjiro wore a crooked smile of satisfaction. He really just wanted to hold your hand now. That would be okay, right? He hesitated before reaching out, deciding it was a better idea to sniff the air to catch your mood first, just in case. However, when he took a deep yet subtle inhale, a different scent entered his nostrils. Do you smell that? You mimicked his sniffing. I smell something sweet. It was hard to pinpoint precisely what you were picking up on, but it was some mix between fried batter and caramelized sugar. There was definitely some kind of party going on. Before you could comment on it, your stomach growled loudly again. Tanjiro chuckled. I guess we better hurry before you starve. I told you I'm fine! You protested, but couldn't help but catch his smile when he reached out his hand to you. The 2 of you ran hand in hand the rest of the way. The sun was hanging low in the sky now as the smell's potency increased. It was easy to distinguish it from this distance. The taiyaki, the candy apples, sizzling karage. It was all you could do not to drool. He halted just outside the stands and looked around, letting both of you catch your breath from the run. I had no idea there'd be a festival in town tonight. Oh no. What's wrong? Are you worried about a demon being lured in by all these people? No, it's not that. I just wish we had invited the others. If Tanjiro was being honest, he was glad to have you all to himself for a change, but not at the expense of his friends missing out on a good thing. I feel bad having too much fun without them. I see. You nodded and pursed your lips. Then let's not have too much fun, you postulated. Let's just have a normal amount of fun. Tanjiro quirked his head at you, then smiled at what you were trying to do. I mean it, mister. If you start having too much fun, tell me and I'll make sure to ruin it. He laughed openly at that. I don't think you could do that if you tried. I could make you do push-ups or something. That's fine, though. He clenched his fist passionately. It's like fun and productive training rolled into one. You're right, you fought back a grin. I clearly can't ruin the fun for someone as blatantly optimistic as you. Before you knew it, you and Tanjiro became lost in the bubbling energy, artesian shops, and lit paper lanterns. There were colors everywhere, but mostly red and gold. Candy craft that was almost too cute to eat, and a smorgasbord of delicious foods all at your fingertips. When had it become pitch dark outside? You had no idea. It must have happened somewhere between the carnival rides and the dance you shared with Tanjiro, which you could only describe as uncomfortably warm. The stifling body heat of the crowd, the hot incandescence of the fire breathers on stage, and the tingling warmth that surged under your skin when his hand securely enveloped your own and held you close. All of these things only served to take your breath away. You were pretty sure you hadn't let go of his hand since then as you ran from booths to boutiques. Tanjiro made sure to compliment the craftsmanship of every merchant's wares, spreading the warm fuzzies he'd already inflicted upon you long ago. Finally, he stopped and his eyes seemed to sparkle. You looked on to see an unconventional-looking stand, much less bright and ornate than most of the rest. See something you like, Tanjiro? He was never the materialistic type, so you were surprised to see him fixated on a little white fox mask with red painted trimmings. This warding mask. It looks exactly like the one Urokodake gave me. Maybe it's the same one. You grinned brightly, but he shook his head solemnly. No, I broke mine during the final selection. He inspected it more meticulously and the price tag fell out. You saw his face morph in dissatisfaction. What's wrong, Tanjiro? If you don't have enough, I can pitch in. No. He stood between you and the item. We're here to shop for Nezuko, remember? Not me. Oh, that's right. You managed to sneak a peek at the price tag as he pulled you away by the hand. Hey, I just remembered something I wanted to get at a stand back there. You pointed behind you as vaguely as possible so he wouldn't sniff out the lie. In the meantime, would you mind getting us a snack? When we meet up again, I can help you look for Nezuko's gift. Are you sure it's a good idea to split up? It's not like you can't find me again. You smirked. It was almost as if he'd forgotten his unmatched sense of smell. I suppose that's true. Don't go too far then. We'll meet by the stage in a half hour or less, okay? You hollered over the noisy crowd chatter and loud music, and he nodded. Oops! I didn't ask what kind of snacks she wanted. You probably could have been more subtle about taking your leave to buy his gift, but you wanted to make sure it would still be there when you went to retrieve it. Tanjiro waved and smiled in relief when he saw you approaching. He noticed the sizable bag in your hand and raised his eyebrows. What did you get? He asked. Oh, I'll show you later. You smiled shyly, trying not to blush in anticipation. By the way, on my way over here I heard word that the fireworks are starting soon. Suddenly an expression danced onto Tanjiro's features, one you would normally call his eager face. I have an idea! With that he grabbed your hand once more and led you hastily out of the bustling crowd. He was frequently sniffing the air and changing directions, only causing your curiosity to grow more. What are you doing? You'll see! He dragged you all the way to the top of a grassy knoll. It was dark and more than a fair distance away from the festival, where the music was all but muffled notes. He seemed satisfied and plopped onto his rump in the grass. You blinked at him. And now we wait. He smiled confidently up at you and patted the spot beside him. Okay. You sat down and then immediately panicked. Oh, I forgot to ask. Did you get what you needed for Nezuko? Mm-hmm. He nodded and pulled out a tiny box from his pocket. What was it? You asked, though it was obvious he was in the process of showing you anyhow. He opened the tiny trinket box. It's a sun necklace, Tanjiro explained, handling the delicate thing with care. Since Nezuko was turned, I can't help but think about how much she must miss it. It's pretty, I think. He tilted his head at it, like he wasn't quite sure what girls did and didn't consider pretty. And it's sort of a reminder of my promise to her. You're doing right by her, you know. You coaxed his gaze and he met your eyes. You take such good care of your sister. And your friends, too. He smiled when your hands enveloped his. Your family would be so proud of you. Thank you. A light pink dusted his cheeks and he almost looked misty-eyed. Hearing that means a lot to me. You're always so strong for others, Tanjiro. But who's there to comfort you? Well, I still have Nezuko. For that I'm extremely grateful. Not to mention I have our friends, and all the people who taught me how to be strong. That's true, I guess. And I have you. He smiled that darling, heartwarming smile of his. You're always by my side to encourage me. That's another gift I'm thankful for. You're embarrassing me, Tanjiro. You winced and felt your cheeks heat up from his relentless form of flattery. He was probably more apt at conquering hearts than demons. But speaking of gifts... You slid your shopping bag between the two of you and pulled out the fox mask you bought for him. He gasped immediately. Ah! Traveler, that was expensive! You shouldn't have done that. He reached into his pocket and forcefully smacked all of his remaining currency into your palm. Here! Take this! You laughed, knowing an objection would surely fall on deaf ears. And I'll pay you back for the rest, too. No, Tanjiro. That's not how gifts work. I won't accept it. But Traveler... His elongated stretch of your name was almost reminiscent of Zenitsu's whining. I don't understand. Why would you waste that kind of money on me? Because I could tell it was important to you. How? Instinct. You winked and booped him on the nose with your finger, and he finally gifted you an accepting smile, which was honestly all the payment you needed for the purchase. That sweet gaze he was giving you beneath fluttering lashes was enough to make you feel weightless. You fumbled with the bag when you caught yourself staring. Besides, I still had enough money left for some sweets. You pulled out 2 animal-shaped sugar creations, mounted on a stick for presentation. I got 5, so we can each have one and bring one home to the others. You halted for a second. Wait, I just realized. Does Nezuko even still eat this sort of thing? I really should have asked you before Before you could blink, Tanjiro's lips had descended upon your own. His calloused palm caressed your face, keeping you secure in the kiss, but not without exit if you so desired. You definitely didn't. Your lips moved in gentle synchronization with his, but he pulled back all too soon. His deep crimson eyes were soft and loving, but also nervously apologetic. Before he could fret about not asking permission, you put his insecurities to rest, yanking him right back into the kiss. Tanjiro felt a thrilling falling sensation from your affection and pulled you closer. The sharp whistle startled you out of the embrace and your eyes were drawn to the open sky, where colorful explosions illuminated the blackness. It was only now that you realized what Tanjiro had been doing earlier. He was smelling the gunpowder in order to find a perfect vantage point to watch the fireworks with you. You lit up from excitement and grinned at the blushing boy beside you. Okay, I feel bad now. He gave your hand a squeeze and you started to worry. Had your kiss upset him somehow? Why, Tanjiro? You asked, but he only smiled widely at you. I definitely had too much fun. The end.